Mark Claire here for Bounding into Comics. And look, I got to just start by thanking Cider of Bounding into Comics for sending me this article because honestly, I'm not sure. It's been a long time since I have laughed this much. Not just reading a news piece, I can be very specific and say reading a BBC news piece. Yeah, it's not often I laugh at reading a BBC news piece, but it's not often I laugh this much at reading a news piece, a piece that I'm still trying to fully dissect. This one has layers, my friends, a lot of layers. This comes from our friends at the BBC. At the BBC, working for MI6 is more exciting than a James Bond film, says Spy. Now, this is an interesting headline because what you think you're going to get in the rest of the article is, I don't know, maybe some interesting stories or some allusions to how crazy working for MI6 is. How it's, if you thought what you saw in the James Bond movies was something, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. And the BBC's going to break this story for you by talking to an MI6 spy. Well, let's find out a little bit more about this MI6 spy, shall we? To read the article by... what's her name? Let's go check it out. Christy Cooney of the BBC News. Working for MI6 can be more exciting than... I'm not going to try to do a British accent reading a British article. I'm just not. Working for MI6 can be more exciting than a James Bond film, a director for the agency has told the BBC. The officer, named only as Kwame, said that in the course of his career, he has seen things way more than what you see in the spy movies. Now, that's where they took the headline from. But let's dive further, shall we? He added that popular depictions could give the impression everyone who works at MI6 is white, middle class, and male. And that's just not true, Kwame says. MI6 is the UK's foreign intelligence service. I like how she just throws that right after this ridiculous line about your expectations. Now, when you read a headline that says that working for MI6 is way more exciting. It says exciting than the James Bond film. The actual quote from Kwame later down, I don't know what happened. The word exciting isn't there anymore. It was in the headline. It's not in his actual quote in this article. He says, the course of his career, he has seen way more than what you see in the spy movies, and added that popular depictions could give the impression everyone who works at MI6 is white, middle class, and male. That's not true. Are we really making this connection subtly or not? That what's exciting about working for MI6 and being a super spy, it's not the actual, I don't know, assassinations and, overthrowing of governments and secret gadgets and whatnot. No, it's the fact that there's way less white people than it looks like in the movies. In fact, this thing is just a diversity fest. They tell you a little bit about what MI6 is in case anybody who is reading the BBC who lives in England is not going to know what the MI6 is. Anyway, to continue on, as it gets funnier, by the way. Kwame, the first black spy to give a broadcast interview. Is that an actual record that we can certify in some way? It's not qualified at all. It says Kwame, the first... I'm starting to think this article is parody. And if it is, bravo, BBC.com for putting out this piece. Kwame, the first black spy to give a broadcast interview. I'm saying it again. Ever in the history of spies, he's the first black spy to give a broadcast interview? Maybe that's true. He was speaking to BBC Radio 1 Extra from the agency's London headquarters as part of a drive to recruit more people from black and Asian backgrounds. Again, it's more exciting than James Bond, Kwame said of his workplace. Things that will blow your mind. I've seen some of the coolest stuff. Things that will blow your mind. You have to be in it to see it. Kwame described himself as the director of organizational development, effectively the finance and HR director, and said part of the aim of the recruitment drive was to tell people that anyone can work for MI6. Anyone. Whatever their ethnicity or background. The issue is if you talk about James Bond, it gives you a different connotation, he said. I'm afraid it makes you think that everyone who works here is a white middle-class male who is driving an Aston Martin, who likes women and all that. But that's not true. No, we've got poor people who don't like women at all working here for MI6 of all different colors, especially black and Asian. This is so funny, and I think the funniest, I don't know if I can name the funniest thing about this article, because there's about 15 to 20 funny things that come up to my mind reading this thing. I love that he is the HR director, essentially. Like, this guy is here discussing about how exciting it is to work for MI6. Meanwhile, we have no examples of that excitement whatsoever, just some wild things. But to circle back to emphasize the most important things is that not everyone is white. They're certainly not. Are they really, really recruiting MI6 agents out of like the really poor classes of England? I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's how it's ever worked, to be quite frank. Not everyone's white. Not everyone's middle class. Not every MI6 agent is driving an Aston Martin or likes women or any of that stuff. It's just not true. You can see that's not necessarily true about me, really, Kwame. I'm sure you check a lot of these boxes. We want to reach out to all the brothers and sisters out there and say, actually, SIS, MI6, it's a place for you. We're not done. Kwame's colleague, Jay, MI6 Director of Global Intelligence Reporting, who is from a South Asian background, coincidentally, said the service did not just want Oxbridge graduates, but people with the right skills, did not want to self-censor Oxbridge. Of course, they get these people from elite universities. That's where they've always farmed intelligence from. They're not farming intelligence agents from the ghetto. They're not. But this is hilarious because they're trying to convince us that they are. Many, many people will know what MI6 is. The trouble is it tends to attract a certain type of person. The brand recognition is so strong because people just think James Bond. So we've got to destroy that. We've got to recruit a more diverse mindset. So we're going to send Kwame, our HR director, on this world tour along with his buddy Jay, Asian Jay, South Asian Jay, to tell everybody, look, there's some cool shit going on here. And I can't really tell you much about it. But I'll tell you, it involves a lot less white people than you think, a lot less straight people than you think, and way less Aston Martins than you could ever imagine. This article is so funny. This is really like I honestly wonder, I want to find Christy Cooney. I want to get inside her mind, because you think it's going to be a recruitment article, and it is, but it's clearly a different kind of recruitment article that is really nothing like they tried to act like it's going to be from the headline. It's just a diversity fest the whole time, telling you about how, James Bond, white guy, rich white guy, is he a rich white guy, or does he make good money because he's James Bond and providing the service to MI6? I feel like he's earning his money, to be honest. I don't think there's anything unjust there. But yeah, apparently they're going on this tour to tell people it's not just. So I wonder, there's been these rumors of a non-white James Bond, possibly Idris Elba. Now I don't really care if they do a non-white James Bond, but I'm almost thinking it's 100% what has to happen. Maybe an Asian James Bond. If we got the BBC putting out this kind of MI6 diversity propaganda, my friends, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, go and bookmark boundingintocomics.com. Check out all this great stuff. You're going to see news updates every single day from Cider, the man who shot me this article. You don't want to miss any of the great content from the team here at Bounding Into Comics.